David, I'm not going to let you talk about it.
That's fine.
You can't talk about it right now. We're talking to State Representative Jane English right now. She's decided to run for the state Senate in District 34. Who will you, I don't know if anybody else is challenging you in the primary or not. If you make it through the primary, do you have a person that you would expect to be facing?
Yes, I don't think I'll have a primary opponent.
Okay.
But I probably, I guess Monday at the governor's mansion during the Labor Day picnic or whatever they had down there, both Barry Hyde, who's a representative from North Little Rock right now, and I guess his name is Phineas, I think that's right, Wilson.
Never heard of him.
He used to work for Congressman Snyder. He also has said that he's a Democrat. He has also said that he's going to run for that seat.
Okay, so they will have a primary then.
They will have a primary.
Okay, so we'll give them adequate time to come on the show. If they want to come on and talk, we'll be happy to have them here on the Dave Elswick Show and ask them what their views are for the state, things of that nature. Question I asked you during the break, and I'll let you talk a little bit about this. In the process of coming up with the budget, you all kind of say, okay, this much money and that much money, and yeah, we'll keep going with that program. However, it ends up on the governor's desk, correct?
Absolutely.
And he determines with a group of people I don't know, some kind of star chamber or something, where they meet and they determine how the money is going to be all allocated out. Is that correct?
That's correct. It's usually the governor and and he may have another couple people, I don't know, but also Richard Weiss, and then the budget head of the budget committee from the House and from the Senate. And so basically then they look at what are the priorities and obligate things to A category, B category, and C category. So A is pretty much usually funded, B may be funded, if there's plenty of money, and C is probably not often funded.
Okay, so the Arkansas taxpayer, though, for the most part in this process, is shut out. They have no idea. They have no idea how this is all put together. I don't know if there's a law on the books, or a law could be put on the books, or maybe it's got to be a constitutional amendment brought forth to the people. But it just seems like to me that the people of Arkansas have every right in the world, as they do, to sit in on those committee meetings and the press to sit on the committee meetings, to know what goes on behind those closed doors and how they come up with dictating money to certain projects and not to other projects.
I agree. I think there should be a better process. I mean, obviously, everybody from all over the state can't be involved in that room, but I think it goes back to one more time. I think this is basically the governor's budget. It's not the legislature's budget. We are supposed to have some input into it. Don't think we have enough information, and so when the revenue stabilization law, I mean, the bill is passed, and supposedly everybody sees what was in it. It lays on the table for 2 days now. But there are a lot of times when most legislators don't have any idea what they're looking at. And we kind of saw that a week or so ago when all of a sudden money was being moved from the Education Facilities Fund into the general fund and then over to West Memphis to a technical school over there. Well, most legislators had no idea of anything about that, and you couldn't tell by looking at the revenue stabilization bill that was going to happen.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
So it's bottom line. Here it is, David. The legislators themselves are kept in the dark about some of this. The taxpayer, the people who are putting all this money up, the $3.5 billion that we put forth, we're left out of the whole process, basically, because if our legislators don't know about it, then we definitely aren't going to know about it.
That's what I was going to say. That's just what gets me, is you're telling me that it's a very nebulous process for you guys, and a lot of it is just not clear-cut. Then how can the average guy in Arkansas, taxpayer, even understand how this whole budgetary process works or where all the money's going and where it's being spent? It really should be more transparent.
Well, here's the key.
That's surprising when I hear a legislator tell me that it's not a clear-cut process.
The whole statement that I can make about this is the government says We're on your side. Don't worry about it. We're taking care of you. I mean, that's kind of the way it's been for years and years and years. And people now are starting to say, wait a second, maybe it's not so okay. And I sure like to know a whole lot more about this.
Well, and one of the things that's going to come up in July of 2012, we're supposed to have the open checkbook. And I am a huge supporter of the open checkbook. But one of the things that's going to start happening is that you're going to see in that, as people look at agencies and their checks that they've been written, you could have something that says professional services for $75,000 to XYZ company, but it doesn't say anything about what were the results, who did it go to, what were they supposed to be doing. So I think that as we move into that process, there are going to be a lot more folks, residents, citizens of the state, who are going to be able and begin to ask those questions. Where is this money going, and what are you doing with these resources?
At those Big Mac meetings that you have at the beginning of the year before the sessions, and the bureaucrats are coming forth, and the heads of the departments are presenting, this is how much money we need, and we need an increase here, or, we can take a decrease there. Bet you don't hear that very often. But, whatever. Do you feel like now that there are more conservatives involved, that those folks are going to get more questions than they've ever gotten about that stuff?
I think so. If we can find a way to help people be a lot more understanding of what's going into each of those budgets. The other side is we have all these boards and commissions. And, I mean, it's huge. There's 350 boards and commissions, and that's another $4.5 billion. That was tuitions and fees. Well, you're never quite sure whether some of those resources are being spent, and they're licensing things. Do we need all those licenses? Do we need all those boards? And that touches a sore spot with an awful lot of people who are part of those boards or part of those things. But there is no mechanism right now to begin to look at, for people to look at what is actually going on in state government. There are some excellent programs, some excellent things happening, good folks doing innovative ideas, but you never really know what they are. And maybe they could use more resources, and maybe there's some things that are outdated and have been there for 50 years, and you've just got people in place, and you don't need those programs anymore. Well, it's a good time to think about how do we shift some of these resources to things that are important or have become more important.
All right, since the state representative has been involved in education a lot, when we come back, I'm going to ask a question I asked several people during the session back in January and February and March, and that was, does the state government need to take a bigger chunk of responsibility for the increase in spending in higher education in the state of Arkansas? I'd like to talk to you about that. We got that coming your way here on the Dave Elswick Show on KARN. For the final segment here with State Representative Jane English. And Jane, how can the state legislature get more involved with higher learning here in the state? I mean, we were talking during the break. I mean, we got X amount of kids that are getting out of high school, going to college, and they're not ready to go to college.
That's right.
We've got, and I think it's like 25% of those who are A and B students aren't ready, and that's abysmal. The other point being, you get all this money coming in from the lottery, and I'm happy for these kids to get $2,500 scholarships, but it seems to me, as that extra money shows up in their pockets, the costs go up at the school, not the private schools, the public schools, and they're eating that money up, and the kids are finding themselves still in they're on that treadmill of trying to afford college.
Well, I think that one of what the colleges have said, and I don't know the percentage of increase in each of the colleges or universities here in the state, number of kids that have come in, But in a lot of cases, what they have said is we have more students, so we have to have larger facilities, and we have to have additional instructors to be able to teach some of these students. I guess I wonder sometimes, there are a tremendous number of alternative educational ways, with distance learning and virtual education, and some things that sometimes you don't need to have a building for, and in many cases what's going to happen, you look at all these people who are taking courses online, they can do it at UALR, you can do it at the university, and at some point in time you may not need all these buildings because it doesn't fit folks' time schedules.
Oh, wow. Boy, now you scare people up sitting down the hill. All right, State Representative Jane English going to be running for the seat for the Senate in District 34 tomorrow. U.S. Pizza?
No, it's American Pie Pizza.
I'm sorry, American Pie. That's close. U.S. American, kind of same thing.
Off McCain.
Off McCain.
Shopping Center,
11:30. I'll be there tomorrow, and congratulations, and thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you very much.
Dave Elswick Show, KARN.
Remember, wherever you are, you can know what's happening in Arkansas on KARNNewsRadio.com.